Excuse me. Can I quit this podcast?
I told Eddie Murphy to stay in college so he'd have something to fall back on. I did great advice. Jackie, how about the lighter side of history? The lighter side.
I'm not done laughing at my joke.
Okay. I know a lot of things and I share them on the podcast and you don't care.
What are we talking about?
I can't get a word in edgewise on this show. I mean, it's...
Here's how we sell it.
Okay.
Hello, I am Jackie Martling, and this is...
Peter Bales.
And this is our wonderful podcast, and I just flew in from Las Vegas, and I'm not going to say it. And I was reminded of so many things at a nice couple shows at a place called The Plaza in downtown Las Vegas, which the entire town smells like marijuana. The entire town. People walk along smoking joints this big.
Are you sure it just wasn't an aura around you?
No, I haven't had a talk of pot in God 3 or 4 or 5 minutes. And but I was reminded, we were talking about stuff, and I saw some old friends, some great old comedy friends, and we're talking about jokes and stuff. And I don't know if you know the story, but I talked Rodney Dangerfield into taking me to Las Vegas with him. And we went to Fort Lauderdale first, and I met you and all the guys down there at the comic strip. And I'll cut to the chase on this, and because I had said, let me come with you. You know, we'll go through jokes. You know, people send you jokes. We can go through. Maybe you'll miss one, and you know. So we're sitting in his room, wrecked, because that's how he rolled. And he's reading jokes and passing them. And reading jokes, and he passes me one, and I go, boss, what are you doing? I called him boss because it made him nuts. I said, what are you doing? This is the greatest joke. He said, well, what are you talking about? And I said, this is the absolute best fat joke, ugly joke rolled into one. You think so? Yeah, it's unbelievable. And I wasn't being a wise guy. I wasn't being a jerk. And the way he did it was he had his act, and if he had a new idea, he would put it in brackets, either above or below where he wanted to put it, and that's how he would remember where to put it. And we've talked about this before. If you're a comedian and you watch another comic and the comic bombs a joke, there's a distinct rhythm to where the comic tells the joke, there's no laugh, and then the other comedians scream with laughter to make sure the guy on stage knows that they noticed that nobody laughed at the joke. So this is the major showroom at the Aladdin Hotel in Las Vegas. And it turns out people think this is a funny joke. It was just a little too much for people to swallow all at once, I guess, or something. But he's going along in this thing, and all of a sudden he goes, yeah, this girl, she was fat and ugly. She was fat and ugly. She had a hairdresser for each armpit, which I thought was the perfect fat girl, ugly girl. And I mean, it was like somebody pulled the plug on the room. It went completely quiet. And I'm half loaded in the back, and I'm screaming. He was pissed for 2 days. He thought I set him up. He thought I teed him up. I said, no, that's really funny. They're idiots. And everybody I've ever told that joke to, it's a funny joke. But
okay, so why didn't it work? I already have an idea why
I think because there's too much joke.
Too much joke. Because, as John Cleese said, and I say when I teach comedy, 2 things, fat and ugly at the same time, 2 things happening on stage at the same time is not twice as funny, it's half as funny.
It's too much
because the audience diverts their attention.
Too much for people to swallow.
Absolutely.
But
absolutely.
It was so funny.
But I see why you thought it is funny. I think it's
Did I ever tell you what I did to Brian Regan?
No.
Brian Regan, who is a really, really funny comic and so successful, and he makes a fortune, and he's been all over, up and down, around. But in like 1980, we're all working at the comic strip, and he's cooking the steaks, and he's sweeping up for a pittance of money, but so Joe, the manager, would give him some stage time. And he starts doing well, and he's got like 5 good minutes or 10 good minutes, and finally he's doing well enough on Sundays or Thursdays. Joe's going to give him 10 minutes on Saturday night in the height of the packed crowd with the regular guys, and he's so thrilled. Of course, I got to bust chops. I said, Brian, you know, it's really fun when the comics interact with each other because the people in the audience get a kick out of that because it shows like a, you know, like a brotherhood, you know, like a bonding. And I said, you know what? In the middle of your act, say, I had a date with Siamese twins last night. And I'll yell from the back, did you have a good time? And you say, yes and no. Which would be,
So
and people think it's like Abbott and Costello. It's so funny. And he's like, oh, that's great. And he's thrilled that he's going to interact with me. You know, he's still mad to this day. But he, like, you know, I'm helping him out and I'm killing. I'm like, not headlining, but I was going on last and really destroying the place. So he's excited that he's going to do this. And he's doing fine. He's 5 or 7 minutes in, and he's got them, and they're rolling. And he goes, so I had a date with Siamese twins last night, and I yelled, how was it?
You know what's going to happen?
Which is a dead end. There's no one. And he was like, and it was quiet. And of course,
I love it.
I screamed and yelled, and he's still pissed. And now he's a multimillionaire. He's not talking to me. I don't even know if that's an old trick or whether that was just Martling coming up with something really mean, you know.
Oh, man.
I mean, talk about harmless pranks, you know, that was just great, you know.
He's not really mad at you to this day.
Who knows?
I love when one joke can kill an act, you know, can kill a set. If you have the audience, you should be able to keep them even if you miss with one. But sometimes things happen. By the way, you know, you're talking about Mustache Pete's, one of the original $40 in a cheeseburger clubs that Jackie used to book in New Jersey.
I still have the book that Ron Richard gave me, and this page is in his handwriting, and this page is in my handwriting. I have scans of it, and it's like Seinfeld, Reiser, Miller, Bales, Murphy. It was so funny because everybody's name is the last name, but I'm Jackie. It's like Seinfeld, Bales, Jackie, Overton, Reiser, Jackie, and then all of a sudden it became my handwriting, you know, and it went to Woods, D'Antona, Hawthorne, you know.
I got to tell you, a very funny comedian from New York City, Bill McCarty, was performing at Mustache Pete's, and he was doing a routine about growing up Catholic and going to Catholic school.
I will never forget the first time I saw McCarty's act because I saw it again last night. That's me. But go ahead.
He'll never talk to you again. And I got to tell you, somebody got mad about the religious nature of the material and threw a glass at him that missed him by a couple feet and broke the window behind the stage.
Really?
I'll never forget that. And he stood there.
Because that stuff that almost never, ever happens.
That almost never happens. People ask us about hecklers. That is rare. People like to join in and be part of the show and help you, but the actual hostile heckler is very, very rare. But Jackie, I got to tell you this. Catch a Rising Star. Late. Jerry Seinfeld is on. The room has what we call broken, and it's late, and they're tired. So
scattered.
Probably about half the audience has left. But there's a good half left, and just the way it worked out, they're all sitting on one side of the room. Half of the audience still laughing at a young Jerry Seinfeld who's working out his material at Catch a Rising Star, very, very late, probably 1:30, something like that. Okay? On the other side of the room, there's one table. And Jerry's obviously performing to the half that's there, and they're laughing and having a good time. And the one table over here is not paying attention, talking loudly and being rude. And Jerry stopped and in his way said, would you please stop talking? We're trying to have a good show here. Thank you. And he went back to his act for about 10 seconds, and a glass flew up on the stage towards Jerry, missed him by about 2 feet, slammed against the back of the stage. Jerry dropped the mic and just stood there. The whole room went quiet. The bartender, who was also the bouncer, comes out, and we're all seeing what he's going to do, and he walks over to the table, leans in to talk to them. We expect them to be thrown out. Jerry's standing on the stage watching all this. And the bartender talks to them for about 45 seconds, stands up, walks to the stage, and says, Jerry, you have to leave the club now.
Oh, no.
And they took Jerry off the stage and out and into a cab and away from Catch a Rising Star. Because this was a table
Of scary people.
of connected scary people that you could not talk to in a negative way. And the
Wow.
joke for the longest time was, Catch a Rising Star is the only club where they throw a glass at the comedian and they throw the comedian out.
That's so great.
And
it's so horrible, but it's so great.
And our friend John DeBellis, an SNL writer and terrific comedian, was on next, and he goes, "I'm not going on next. I'm not going on next." And he left.
Yeah.
It was one of those.
Forget that whole new Italian routine he had.
That's right.
Wow.
What a story.
I used to book a place called the Park Lounge, which was.
I remember it.
Do
I
you
remember
really?
it well. Yes.
And same rotation. You probably worked it 5 times. And oh God, there was one. I don't know if I can say this. There was a girl that really liked me, and we fooled around all the time after the show.
Go ahead.
But she had.
Say the name.
Oh, I don't know her name, but she had bright red hair. This is a true story. This is so disgusting. She had bright red hair. And one week it was Christmas time, swear to God, and she had a huge pimple. But the pimple had come to like a head.
Okay.
And it was so big.
Take the children out of the room.
No, it was so big that it was literally green. And I looked at her, and she had the red hair and the green pimple. I'm thinking, that's very Christmassy. I swear on all that's holy. But Jerry Diner, who used to be Jerry Dinnerstein, is on stage. And there's a motorcycle guy sitting there, full leather, the whole thing. And he not innocently, but he's doing his thing, and all of a sudden he goes, "And look, we got a Hell's Angel here." And all of a sudden, it was a little crazy, and the owner said, "You got to get him out of here." And I said, "Listen, I got to do the show." And he went out and put him in the back seat of my car, laying on the floor so they couldn't find him. The guy didn't care that he got pointed out. What he was mad at was that Jerry called him a Hell's Angel. And he wasn't a Hell's Angel. He was, now I'm not going to remember, but the other motorcycle club from Long Island, like the Pythons or whatever they were called. It's like, "Oh, you're a Yankee." "No, I am not. I'm a Met."
That's what offended him.
I just thought that was the fun. I know you couldn't go up and make a joke about it,
What? That's incredible.
And
So listen to this one.
what's
Jackie.
incredible was I had to thank the guy because Jerry was not funny. So at least we got him off the stage.
The late Jerry Diner, who was a wonderful guy. Yes, he passed away.
I had no idea.
Yeah, so you want to take that back, that comment?
On what? He's not still dead?
he's the late Jerry Diner.
Do you know about Vince D'Antona?
Yes, I love Vince D'Antona.
How much do you know about him?
A lot. I admire the fact that he's a Vietnam veteran and
A guy went
tunnel
to
rat.
Vietnam. He was a little guy that could go anywhere, so that he was invaluable in Vietnam. And to entertain the guys over there, he became a ventriloquist. So he's a ventriloquist, and he was good at it. The old staleless wooden penis jokes, but he was just delightful. I did a lot on the road with him. And he met a girl, but of course she wanted to be in show business. His girlfriend, Janny, wanted to be in show business.
I remember her.
So she got a dummy, but her dummy was way too big. So they'd be on stage together, and he had Chuck Wood or
Chuck Wood was
that was David.
that was yeah.
So it's Charlie Splinter, whatever it was.
Wait, his dummy
Yeah, Vince's dummy.
was George.
All right, right. Okay, so Vince had George, and Janny had some big, almost looked way oversized doll. She had no sense of humor.
Right.
She couldn't work the ventriloquist doll, but insisted on being the act. But they did the act together because after the show, they would go to the bar, and she would pick up girls, and they would bring home a girl, and Vince and the girl would fool around. So he's like, I don't care about my act. Look at this. Like for a year or two, he's in heaven.
Yes, you have to have your priorities straight.
I just thought that was. I mean, and I don't know if you remember, they were excruciating. Oh,
he, as a solo act,
was fine.
Awesome, beyond fine. He was awesome, and technically the best ventriloquist I've ever seen.
And he was such a nice guy.
He perfected the Ford whisper. Little history to make up for the pimple routine before.
It's a true story. That's a
ventriloquism. Ventriloquism developed in the Ford auto plants because the workers were not allowed to talk to each other because they might form a union and ask for a raise. So they learned how to talk to each other without looking at each other and without moving their lips. And that developed into ventriloquism in the early part of the 20th century.
Do you realize Henry Ford is rolling over in his grave right now?
It's true.
Well, it couldn't happen to a nicer guy.
But
Well, listen, we're going to do more ventriloquism stories in the future. Just want to end on one thing. Vince's father worked for a plastics company that made the letters that went on the side of airplanes. You know those big letters like a TWA 9Z X73? And his father made 5,000 yellow 922 wine stickers out of that non-destructible plastic. I have no idea where they are, but they got to be somewhere because
they're indestructible.
And I ask everybody. Somebody said, Vince was a good friend of mine. I saw somebody at Governor's. Oh, Vince was a good friend. Did you know his family? And
you want to get your hands on those stickers if you can.
I would like to see one, so my story is, and next time we will tell some 922 Wine sticker stories.
And that 922 Wine is the phone number for Jackie's legendary joke line.
42 years. 516-922-9463. We'll see you later. Dial it now.
Hey, a new episode of Stand Up Memories every Wednesday.
How exciting is that?
Starring me, Peter Bales, and right here, Jackie the Joke Man Martling.
Please follow us on social media. Search it out. What is it? MeSpace?
MySpace?
Your space?
TikTok, Instagram, Facebook.
Doodah.